Welcome to Overheard Story. Sit back, enjoy the story, and feel free to leave a comment after. Even a few words matter more than you think. I wasn't looking for anything. Not really. We have this old tablet we both use in the kitchen. Emma uses it for meal planning. I use it to look up recipes or play music while cooking. It's old, slow, the screen is cracked in one corner, but it's reliable. A kind of household workhorse. And we've both always treated it casually, never locked, never private. It was just there. That day, I was trying to find a *T of a recipe I had saved months ago. Something about a Cajun pasta dish Emma said she liked. I remembered it had green onions and smoked sausage, but I couldn't remember the rest, so I opened the gallery to scroll through. Hundreds of photos from the last year. Birthday dinners, blurry photos of our dog mid-run, selfies we never posted. Life stuff. Then one photo made my finger freeze mid-scroll. It was Emma. Not a weird thing. She takes photos of herself sometimes, sends them to friends to ask if her outfit works, or snaps mirror pics if she's trying a new hairstyle. But this one was different. She was standing in our living room, in front of the full-length mirror, wearing a soft gray sweater. The one I bought her last Christmas when she kept saying she needed something cozy but flattering. Her hair was up in a loose bun, no makeup, natural. She looked comfortable, calm. But my eyes went straight to the hand. There was a man's hand, just one, resting on her waist. The photo had been taken from a distance, maybe 4 or 5 feet back, like it was set on timer mode. Probably from the coffee table. And the angle. It was deliberate, not random. The kind of photo where someone props the device just right and hits the countdown. Framed perfectly. The fingers were curled slightly under the hem of her sweater, touching bare skin. The kind of casual *mate touch that doesn't belong to a stranger. I looked at it for a long time. The man wasn't fully in the frame. All I could see was the arm, a dark long-sleeve shirt, and the hand. His face wasn't visible, which somehow made it worse. It left too much room for my imagination. But the pose. It wasn't just friendly. It wasn't accidental. It was close, personal, familiar, and the background made it all worse. It was our space. Our lamp, the one with the tilted shade she always said she'd fix but never did. Our couch, with the throw blanket folded just the way she folds it. Our mirror, where she gets ready in the morning. The photo wasn't just taken with her, it was taken in our life. I stared at it, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. There was no caption, no context, just the image. And in that moment, something shifted. That quiet, almost imperceptible shift when your brain starts connecting dots you didn't even know were there. I heard her moving in the other room, rustling paper, then the distinct sound of a mug being set down. I walked into the living room with the tablet still in my hand. She was curled up on the armchair, reading something on her phone. She looked up when I entered, smiled faintly. "Hey, what's up?" I didn't say much. I just tilted the tablet so she could see the screen. "What's this?" She blinked, then looked at the image. For a half second, a beat. There was something in her face. I don't even know how to describe it. Surprise but not shock. Like when you see something you weren't expecting to see yet, but you're ready for it. Then, just as fast, her expression shifted. "Oh," she said, smiling lightly, setting her phone down. "That's nothing. Totally staged. A joke." "A joke?" I repeated. "Yeah, my friend Ben. Remember Ben? He stopped by last week. He was trying on this jacket for some theme party and we were messing around. I took a few pictures to show him how it looked. That one must have been a silly moment." She laughed. Actually laughed. And waved it off. "I think we were pretending to do one of those awkward prom poses or something. Totally harmless. You're reading way too much into it." I didn't say anything right away. I just looked at her. She kept going. "You're always doing this," she said, with that little tone she used when she wanted to make me feel unreasonable without sounding mean. "Looking for problems where there are none." She leaned forward, took the tablet from my hand, swiped through a couple photos, like she was going to show me more from that moment, then exited out of the gallery entirely. "Honestly," she said, a little sharper now, I feel like I can't do anything without you getting suspicious lately. That part caught me off guard. I hadn't said anything accusatory. I'd literally just asked what the photo was. But now she was steering the conversation, no, redirecting it, away from the photo and toward my supposed paranoia. I let her talk. I nodded once. I even said, okay, because I didn't want to escalate anything. But the way she was reacting, it told me more than the photo ever could. She went back to her chair, pulled the blanket over her lap, and picked up her phone again. Just like that, the moment was over. For her, anyway. For me, I walked back into the kitchen, sat down at the table, and stared at the blank recipe search bar on the tablet. My heart was still pounding, but I wasn't sure if it was from anger or fear. I told myself it could be nothing, that maybe I was overreacting. But my gut was screaming, because her reaction wasn't natural. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't surprise. It wasn't even denial. It was prepared, rehearsed. That's what shook me the most. It was like she already had the script ready. And I started to wonder, how many times had she practiced that answer in her head? How many things had I never asked about because I trusted her enough not to? I didn't sleep much that night. She fell asleep early, phone still in hand. I lay awake staring at the ceiling. The image burned into my mind. Her in that sweater, that hand on her waist, the little curl of her hair behind her ear, the casual way she leaned into it like it was something normal. I started running through the past few months. Small things, strange things, things I'd shrugged off at the time. But now they were coming back like breadcrumbs. And for the first time in our marriage, I wasn't sure what trail they were leading me down. After the photo, I started noticing things. Not new things exactly, more like things I'd already seen but didn't pay attention to the first time. Except now, with that image stuck in my head, they didn't feel like coincidences anymore. They felt like signs I should have seen coming. Like how, a few months ago, she started locking the bathroom door. I don't know when it changed. It wasn't a big deal at first. We've been married long enough that small habits ebb and flow. But I remember realizing one night that it had been weeks since I'd seen the door even slightly ajar. She used to leave it open a crack when she was brushing her teeth or getting ready for bed. Just casual married life things. But now, every time locked. Even if she was just taking a shower. And speaking of showers, that's when she started taking her phone in with her. At first, I thought it was just for music. Then I realized she didn't play music anymore. She just brought it in and left it on the sink, screen face down. Notifications off. No sounds, no buzzes. I only noticed because I used to hear little message pings from the other room when she was in there. But now, silence. She said it was to disconnect. But if you're really disconnecting, you don't take your phone with you. Then there were the cloud photos. Emma used to be obsessed with backing up our life. She had this habit of uploading everything to shared albums, road trips, dinner pics, even random snaps of our dog sleeping in funny positions. Every couple of days, I'd get a ping, new album added by Emma. It used to be kind of sweet, like a digital journal. But then it stopped. I went back to check one day, no new uploads for almost a month. A solid stretch of time had just vanished. When I asked her about it, she brushed it off. Just forgot, she said. I've been busy. She hadn't forgotten. She was hiding something. I remember this one day, random Tuesday, when I offered to bring her lunch. She was working remotely that week. Said she was visiting a client who had an old house being remodeled. I thought it'd be a nice surprise. I picked up her favorite salad. Even grabbed her a tea from that overpriced place she liked. I drove to the address she gave me. The house was under renovation, sure, but it was empty. No cars in the driveway. No lights on. No tools. No people. Just scaffolding and a locked gate. I sat in the car for 15 minutes, just watching. Nothing. I texted her, "Hey, outside with food." She didn't reply. 10 minutes later, I got a message. "Sorry. Client took us out for lunch. Wish you'd told me earlier." I didn't push it, but I should have. There was also this afternoon when I came home early. I'd forgotten my laptop charger. Figured I'd swing by, grab it, and get back to work. Emma wasn't expecting me. When I walked in, She came downstairs like a deer caught in headlights. Hair curled, makeup done, earrings on, and a dress I'd never seen. She said she'd just been playing around with looks for an upcoming wedding. Got bored, she said. Thought I'd try on some outfits. She didn't look bored. She looked ready to go somewhere. And then there was the notification. A week after the photo incident, I got an alert from our smart home app. Your account has been disconnected from the system. I stared at it, confused. I opened the app, everything was gone. Cameras, lights, lock access wiped. I texted her. Did something happen with the home app? She replied an hour later, weird. Must be a glitch. Try reconnecting. But I couldn't reconnect. My email was no longer recognized. That night, she said something about tech updates and acted annoyed when I kept asking questions. Said I was making a big deal out of nothing. But I knew better. I was being shut out. From my own home. From her life. That's when it really hit me. We were living in two versions of the same place. One reality for her, where she locked doors, curated conversations, kept secrets. Another reality for me, filtered, quiet, and carefully managed. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized how long it had been that way. When did we stop having real conversations? When did her phone become an extra limb she couldn't let go of? When did our dinners become just two people staring at plates in silence? I think back to the last time we laughed so hard we cried. I can't even remember what it was about, but I remember the feeling. It was real, effortless. Now everything felt strained, like she was always holding something back, like she was waiting for me to leave the room before she could breathe. And once you start noticing things, really noticing them, you can't unsee them. You start picking apart every comment, every delay in answering a question, every excuse that doesn't quite line up. It's like watching a movie for the second time and suddenly catching every detail you missed the first time around. The glances, the lies hidden in plain sight. Except this wasn't a movie. This was my life. And I was finally starting to see the full picture. I didn't follow her. I wasn't tracking her phone. I didn't hire a private investigator. I didn't even check her texts. I just wanted a coffee. That's what still gets me, how normal the moment was. I was out running errands during lunch. Had some time to K*LL. Figured I'd stop by a cafe near her office. We'd been there together a few times. A small corner place with quiet lighting and decent espresso. It was close, familiar, easy. I didn't expect to see her. And I definitely didn't expect to see her with him. I had just parked, was about to head inside, when I noticed her. Sitting at a table by the window, turned slightly toward the street. She looked relaxed, at ease, smiling. Then I saw the man sitting across from her. He was angled away from me, but even from that partial view I could tell this wasn't work. It wasn't professional. It wasn't a team lunch or a client meeting. There was something about their body language, the way they leaned in toward each other, the casual touch of her hand resting on the table close to his. And then he reached for it. Not a handshake, not a gesture. He held her hand, and she let him. No hesitation, no glance over her shoulder, no panic. She just smiled and leaned closer, like they were in their own little world, like I didn't exist. I didn't go inside. I stood there for a while, watching them through the glass, my body frozen. I don't even remember how long. Maybe a minute, maybe more. My heart was hammering, but everything else felt slow, almost muted. It's strange. I always thought if something like this happened, I'd react, explode, demand answers, make a scene. But I didn't. I just turned around, walked back to my car, sat in the driver's seat, and stared through the windshield at nothing. My hands were still shaking when I turned the key. I didn't go back to work. I drove home instead. Windows down. No music. Just wind and silence. I kept replaying it in my head, hoping maybe I saw it wrong. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was innocent. But no matter how I looked at it, how I twisted the angles or added imaginary explanations, it didn't change. She wasn't hiding discomfort. She wasn't pulling away. She was present, engaged, happy. That's what made it worse. She looked happy with him. When I got home, I just sat on the couch for a while. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat, like my body hadn't caught up to my brain yet. When Emma came in that evening, it was like nothing had happened. She walked through the door carrying her bag, coat slung over one arm, hair slightly messy from the wind. Same soft smile she always wore when she was tired from work. She dropped her keys in the bowl by the door, sighed, and said, "Crazy day. You wouldn't believe how long this meeting ran." I just nodded. She went on about scheduling changes, someone getting the numbers wrong on a report. I think she even laughed. I watched her talk, watched the way she avoided my eyes just slightly when she recapped her day. The way she moved past me in the kitchen like she didn't notice how quiet I was. It was a performance. And maybe it always had been. I think she was testing the water, waiting to see if I suspected anything. Seeing if my behavior would shift, if I'd press, if I'd noticed anything at all. And when I didn't confront her, she relaxed, got comfortable again. But I wasn't silent because I believed her. I was silent because I didn't need to ask anymore. I knew. It was one thing to wonder, to doubt. It was another to see it. To watch her lean in toward someone else the way she used to lean toward me. That moment, her hand in his, was the final puzzle piece. All the little things before it, all the tension, the lies wrapped in smiles, the inconsistencies I tried to explain away. They all clicked into place. The missing cloud photos, the locked doors, the excuses, the distance. It wasn't a slow drift anymore. It was deliberate. She had created a second version of our life, a side channel where I didn't exist, where she could be someone else with someone else. And I had been watching the surface, thinking the ripples were just stress, or routine, or time. But the truth was already living beneath the surface. And now I'd seen it. So when she kissed me goodnight that night, just a soft brush on the cheek, I didn't flinch. I didn't push her away. I let her play out her part. Because something inside me had shifted. I wasn't the one being lied to anymore. She was the one who thought she could still lie and get away with it. And that gave me something I hadn't felt in a long time. Clarity. I didn't confront her that night. That was the first decision I made after the cafe. Not because I was scared, and not because I was unsure. It was because I finally understood something simple. Yelling wouldn't give me answers. It would only give her time. Time to lie better. Time to delete things. Time to turn the story into something else. So I waited. The next morning, she went out for a jog like she always did. Same route, same headphones, same promise she made to herself that she'd clear her head. I watched her from the window until she disappeared down the street. Then I moved. Her old laptop was still in the hall closet, shoved behind a stack of winter scarves and a broken umbrella. She hadn't touched it in months. I remembered because she once complained it was too slow to deal with. I took it out, set it on the kitchen table, and opened it. No password. That should have felt like a relief. Instead, it felt like confirmation. The desktop loaded slowly, like it was hesitating. And then everything was there. Not hidden, not encrypted, just stored. Chats, folders, photos, videos. She hadn't even tried very hard. I didn't rush. I opened things methodically like I was handling evidence, not memories. Messages stretched back months. Names I didn't recognize. Conversations that started casual and ended familiar. Pet names. Inside jokes. Plans. There were photos too. Some taken in cars. Some in restaurants. Some in places I'd never been with her. And then there were the ones taken at home. Our home. One photo stopped me cold. It was taken in our bedroom. On our bed. The lighting was soft, deliberate. On the pillow, the one with my initials embroidered in the corner, was a shirt that wasn't mine. A man's shirt, folded casually like it belonged there. I didn't feel anger then. I felt clarity. I copied everything. Every file. Every message. I backed it up into an encrypted folder on a flash drive I kept for work. I printed the most important things, not to shame her, not to show anyone, but because paper doesn't disappear when someone panics. I made a list, change passwords, separate finances, remove her access to the home system, pack her things carefully, neatly, without drama, prepare documents. None of it felt impulsive, felt overdue. I changed my email passwords first, then the banking ones, then everything else. I didn't lock her out to punish her. I locked her out to protect myself. There's a difference. I ordered a new lock online and scheduled an installer for later that week. Paid extra for speed. I didn't want to rush, but I didn't want to hesitate either. When she came home from her jog, flushed and smiling, I was already back on the couch. The laptop was back in the closet. The kitchen looked the same. Coffee mugs in the sink. Nothing out of place. She kissed my cheek and said, "You're quiet today." "Just tired," I said. She nodded, satisfied. That was the moment I realized how little she actually saw me anymore. Over the next 2 days, I moved through the house differently. Observing instead of sharing. Listening instead of reacting. She didn't notice. Or maybe she didn't want to. I packed her things while she was at work. Clothes folded. Shoes paired. Jewelry wrapped. I didn't throw anything away. I didn't break anything. This wasn't revenge. This was separation. The house felt different afterward. Not empty, just lighter, like it was finally telling the truth. By the time the new lock was installed, I wasn't shaking anymore. I wasn't pacing. I wasn't rehearsing conversations in my head. I had done everything I needed to do without raising my voice once. And that's when I knew something important had changed. I wasn't reacting to what she did. I was responding to what I deserved. It didn't take long. A day, maybe 2, after the locks were changed, her social media lit up. First, the profile photo changed. A close-up, moody lighting, half her face in shadow. Not smiling, not sad, just curated. A tone setter. Then came the post. No names, no direct blame. Just a caption written like a quote she copied from somewhere but wanted people to think she'd written herself. Sometimes strength is walking away, even when your heart is breaking, even when they never listened, even when you gave everything and it still wasn't enough. #healing. #Mitrith. Underneath it, the flood. Proud of you, girl, flexed biceps. So brave. Men never know what they have until it's gone. You're glowing. I went through the same thing. DM me if you need to vent. I read every comment. Not to punish myself. Just to understand what she was trying to become. She hadn't just walked away from our marriage. She was rebranding it. To her audience, she wasn't someone who got caught. She was someone who escaped. And in that version, I wasn't the husband who stayed up late wondering where she was. Or the one who brought her lunch to an empty construction site. Or the one who'd been quietly packing her clothes while she was busy playing the victim online. I was the villain, the obstacle, the silence she had finally risen above. And the worst part? People believed it. Because no one questions a story that fits the narrative they want to believe. I didn't comment. I didn't defend myself. I didn't message anyone privately to say, "That's not what happened." I didn't need to. Truth doesn't always need an audience. Sometimes it just needs time. The post stayed up for 3 days. Then gone. No explanation. No follow-up. Just vanished. But by then, the whispers had already started. One of her old college friends, someone we both knew, messaged me. "Hey. Not trying to pry. Just want you to know I'm here if you ever want to talk." I saw her post. I also saw her 2 weeks ago, at the cafe. She wasn't alone. Another friend, more blunt, sent, "So wait. She's acting like she left you? Bro, what really happened?" And then one of her coworkers, someone I barely knew beyond a couple office parties, wrote, "I just want to say I always thought the way she talked about you behind your back felt off. I didn't say anything. I probably should have." No one apologized outright, but their silence cracked. People started remembering things, re-examining. The person she'd painted in that post, the broken woman, the silenced voice, didn't quite line up with the person they'd seen. And slowly, the performance started to fray. I never said a word. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to be pulled into her version of events. The moment I started defending myself publicly, it would have become a debate. A he said, she said. I didn't want a stage. I wanted closure. So I waited. And the longer I said nothing, the clearer the truth became. Her post disappeared. The likes faded. The comments stopped. Her story began to dissolve. Because it turns out silence has power, too. After the post vanished, things got quiet. Not just online, in real life too. I didn't see her name popping up anymore. The people who had rushed to support her went silent. A few even reached out again. This time less certain, more cautious. Like they'd seen the cracks and didn't want to be associated with a sinking ship. One guy messaged me, "I bumped into her last week. She said you were controlling. But she also said you kicked her out suddenly. So, which is it?" Another told me he'd seen her with the guy from the cafe again, and she'd introduced him as a longtime friend. Said she just needed time to be free. He didn't buy it. I didn't reply to most of them. I didn't feel like explaining what had already explained itself. There was no exposé, no confrontation, no dramatic public fallout. Just truth. Moving slowly, like water under a closed door. You can try to block it, but eventually it finds its way through. Emma hadn't counted on that. She thought if she framed it fast enough, she could control the story. But people aren't stupid forever. And when they start asking questions, stories built on lies can't hold. I didn't feel satisfaction. Not really. Just peace. Because for the first time in months, I didn't have to wonder if I was crazy. I knew what had happened. And now, finally, so did everyone else. A month passed. Then she asked to meet. She picked a cafe in the middle of town, neutral, quiet, not one we used to go to. When she walked in, I could tell she'd prepared herself. Neat, calm, rehearsed, but not defensive. We talked. Not long. She explained things, or tried to, about how she'd been lost, confused, how she didn't mean to hurt me, how things just got away from her. She never said sorry. Not once. I didn't interrupt. I just listened. And when she finished, I took out one photo, the one from the tablet, the hand on her waist. I slid it across the table. She looked down. No words. No denial. And in that silence, I knew. It had ended long before this meeting. We weren't a marriage anymore. We were two people wrapping up the last scene of something already over. I stood up, nodded once, and left. Back home, I deleted the folder, tossed the papers, closed the loops. It was done. And for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like loss. Felt like starting over.